Hello everyone, welcome to this course. My name is Gakitanto Shome and I will be sharing some information about letter writing with you, and which is one of the topics for writing skills group. Throughout this course we are going to see the definition of a letter, types of letter, and the formats for these common types of letters, and finally we're going to see some tips for writing a letter. And then by the end of this course we expect all our learners to have a deep knowledge about letter and how to write them, so stay tuned till the end. The first subtopic that we are going to talk about is the definition of the word letter. So letter is a written message that can be handwritten or printed on paper, and it's usually conveyed to the receivers through mail or post in an envelope, although this is not a requirement to be a letter. Any such message that's transferred through post is a letter. Then our second subtopic is the types of letters. So there are many types of letters, but we could classify letters into two main types, and we could categorize the other letters under this type. So the first one is formal letter, and this letter is written for a business or a professional purpose, and it uses simple language that could be easy to read or interpret, and they are written for government department or businesses instead of unknown individual, and these letters follow a certain pattern or formality. And complementary closings used in these formal letters include yours faithfully and sincerely. The second type is informal letter, and these are letters written for personal communication. It doesn't need any formalities, or it doesn't need to follow any patterns. It uses casual or emotional tones, and they are mostly written to friends or relatives. And most common closing words for informal letters include lots of love, best wishes, best regards, and with love. And then the third subtopic that we are going to look is the formats for formal and informal letters. First we will look for the formats of formal letter. So formal letters have 8 parts in it, and the first part is the sender's address, which includes the name and address of the sender, and it's found at the right top corner of the letter. The second part is the date, which is written just below the sender's address, and then comes the receiver's address on the left side below the date, and it includes name and address of the receiver. And this is the insider's address, or this receiver's address is one of the things that makes formal letter differ from informal letters. Then the fourth part is the salutation, which is the greeting part, and it's written starting with dear, sir, or madam. Then comes the subject, which is used so that the reader knows what the letter is about. The sixth part is the body of the letter, and it usually have 3 parts. The first part is the introduction part, which shows the main purpose of the letter. Then comes the main content, which contains all the necessary details and important information about the letter. And then the third part is the concluding one, which summarizes the information. Then comes the complementary closing, which, as I mentioned, are yours faithfully and sincerely. We use yours faithfully most of the time when we do not know the person that we are writing the letter for, and then we use yours sincerely. We know the person that we are writing the letter for. And then the last part is the sender's name and signature, and the designation also could be added when required. And then we'll see the format for an informal letter. So an informal letter includes 6 parts in it. The first is the sender's address at the right top corner, containing the name and address of the sender. Then there's the date right below the sender's address. Then the salutation comes written as "Dear," the receiver's name or their nickname. Then comes the body, having the same parts it had in the informal one, but it's not necessary to strictly divide the body into 3 parts in the informal letter 1. And as I mentioned earlier, we could use casual tones and contractions like haven't for have not and didn't for did not in an informal letter. Then comes the complementary closing. Then the name and signature of the senders follows. Then the 4th subtopic is letter writing tips. So when we are writing a letter, we need to identify the type of the letter first, whether it's formal or informal. Then we need to establish the main intent of the letter, which will help us to outline the necessary points to add on the letter so as not to go out of our subject. Then we need to choose our language carefully, and then we need to adjust the length of the letter. In most cases, the length should not be too much, because increasing the length could lead to going out of our subject. And that brings us to the end. I hope you got some information about letter. I would like to thank all of you for your time and attention.